Hey guys, it's been quite a while. It's good to see you again today for PlayStation Vita video blog number 10. We have finally made it up to number 10. It's taken me a lot longer than I originally intended to get this number 10 out. It's been about a month since number 9. But since then we have quite a bit of news that we can get to. Today will mostly be a news, kind of an information download, and some new news actually coming out this morning. That sounds like it could be pretty exciting. We'll have to see how it goes. We'll find out more about it soon, but we'll get to that here in the list. So yeah, on today's docket, we will talk a little bit about sales at the beginning, as we always do. Talk about 3 new apps that Sony is putting out for free. Which is nice, pretty cool looking apps, I suppose. They're coming for free. I'll talk a little bit more about Phantasy Star Online 2, which is announced to come out on the Vita next year. However, they have announced more information on the game in general, so I'll be able to talk a little bit about that. Some exciting stuff going on there. Talk about a new game that Sony teased, they will tease in this upcoming Thursday's issue of Famitsu. However, as Famitsu often leaks on Wednesday morning here in Japan, the leaks for that just came out. So there's a pretty cool looking thing that's coming up that Sony's teasing at, a new game called Soul Sacrifice. So I'll talk a little bit about that. After that, I will talk about the Rhythm Summer of PlayStation Vita. I don't know if you guys who have been following the Vita out there have noticed, but out of nowhere, not really out of nowhere, but we have built up a big list of rhythm games that are coming out for the Vita. 4 in fact, 3 of which are slated for summer and 1 of which is slated for this year. Could be summer, we're not sure yet. So I'll talk about all 4 of those games a little bit. As a guy who's really big into rhythm games myself, I'm quite excited for all 4 of those games. So it's pretty cool that we're finally getting quite a few rhythm games on the Vita, as the 3DS already has a couple of cool ones. So yeah, we're kind of catching up quite quickly with that. After that, I'll just go over what is coming up. Release date wise, not much has been announced since the last time I talked with really official dates, but there are, again, a lot of the games I'll talk about today are slated for summer-ish. So yeah, it's nice to get some more games on the list that are coming out this year, but quite a few that I'm actually excited about, so I'm happy to get to this. Again, video blog number 10. Let's get started. Let's talk about sales. The new sales numbers will actually come out tonight here in Japan at midnight. So we will have some new sales numbers coming up. I believe the only Vita game that was released in the week that will reflect these new sales was Rayman Origins, and it was released at the budget price of 2,500 yen, about $30, but here in Japan, games don't release at 2,500 yen. Games that have been out for a year sometimes aren't even sold used at 2,500 yen. So that's quite the killer price, especially for a game as good as Rayman Origins is. I know you guys have had it in the West since launch day, but Japan just got that last week. It is also worth noting that they also got Rayman Origins for the PS3 and the 360, also on the same day last week, also at 2,500 yen. It was kind of Ubisoft's value price thank you campaign to their Japanese fans, releasing that at 2,500 yen. Of course, it looks awesome on the Vita, though. I don't think it's something that probably sold units, but I think Rayman itself might have done all right, especially at the value price. I have seen it also sold out at a couple of stores I've been to since last week, so good for Rayman. It's an amazing game. But anyway, yeah, the new sales numbers will come out tonight. But I do have last week's sales numbers and the week before. 2 weeks ago, we got the sales numbers, and it was 12,105. And, you know, we weren't incredibly excited about that, but it was a bit of an upward trend because it had hung right around the 10,000 mark for a few weeks. Like really the 10,000 mark. 1 week it was like 10,030 units or something very close to that. But yeah, right around that mark for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden, hey, we had a bump to 12,105. The interesting thing was nothing really of note big came out that week as far as I can remember. You know, I think most of you know, but nothing really big, noteworthy has come out on the Vita for a little while now, so it's pretty easy to say that. But yeah, we saw a jump to 12,000, so I was a little surprised on that one. But then again, we were again surprised last week when the numbers came out, and it had dipped to 8,931. So it did plummet into the 4-digit category there for the first time. So that hurts. 8,931 units is quite honestly terrible. It's a really, really bad number. Even 12,000 wasn't great, but there was kind of hope that it would stabilize there until some big hits came and it would go up from there. But no, it's dipped from there to 8,931. If you average the 2 weeks out, you're still looking at 10,000 units a week. So I'm interested to see where the numbers hit in tonight, if it's above 8,931 or not. I guess we'll see. We don't really know, but it will be interesting to find out. So yeah, tonight's numbers, I'll get them out on Twitter, so if you follow me on Twitter, take a look at that. Otherwise, I'll get them to you in the next video blog. Yeah, so as far as the sales go, like I said, they're really, really not good right now, and Sony really needs to be doing something, anything, to get the sales numbers up. There are a variety of things people have suggested and a variety of things that they could do. The biggest one everyone always says is big game announcements. We all know about that. So there is one that, again, I will be talking about later called Soul Sacrifice that could do something. It seems to be hyped pretty big already and it hasn't even been announced. So it could be interesting. Another thing that I saw that people were saying, they need to drop prices on PSP games on the PlayStation Store so people can play them on their Vitas. Obviously, this wouldn't just help the Vita, but it is a big thing to be able to play these PSP games on your Vita. In Europe, they recently dropped a lot of, I think all of the Sony first-party titles dropped to $7.99. I think about $10 US. And that was kind of in line with the fact that the physical releases also dropped to $9.99. So we haven't really seen any benefit of that in any other region yet. But Sony really needs to lower their prices, especially in Japan. Some of the Sony first-party titles on the PSN are still like 4,000 yen. That's $55. That's just insane, especially when I can go out and buy the UMD for 2,000 yen, something like that. It's crazy to have these games selling for so high, especially the first-party titles. I'm kind of hoping what happens is that Sony drops the prices on a lot of their first-party titles, and then they get a lot of new sales. And they can go, whoa, hey, and maybe talk to some third parties and say, look, when we dropped our prices, we really saw some new revenue come in from this. We kind of recommend that you guys do the same, especially on old PSP titles that nobody is buying on the PSN anymore because they're just too expensive. The prices really need to come down on those in all territories. Especially Japan, but in all territories. So we'll see what comes of that. Hopefully some more will come out of the fact that Sony in Europe has dropped the prices on those. That could also help sales. So big game announcements, the price of things. A lot of people are calling for a Vita price drop already. But the thing with asking for a price drop is, if you haven't really looked, there's actually a lot of good deals out there already. So if you go and look out there, if you don't mind picking up a used Vita, I've heard a lot of people with really big Craigslist success stories. And of course, buying used is not helping Vita hardware sales themselves in any country. However, if it gets you on board and you're buying software or whatever, yeah, you can find a really nice deal there. Yeah, there are also deals at retailers and other things. I heard in the US, GameStop is giving away a free game if you get a Vita, something like that. Here in Japan, I think Amazon currently has the best deal that I've seen, but you can buy the Vita and now you're getting up to 4,000 yen off if you get a 4 GB memory card with it at the same time. So essentially you're getting Amazon's price, which is already quite low. It's already got a few thousand yen off the retail price, and then you knock off another 2,000 yen on top of that as a bonus, and you get a free 4 GB memory card. So that's going on here. Other retailers here and there are doing kind of sales. As far as I've seen a couple of summer, they're calling them summer sales. They only go for a week or two though. That Amazon thing, it's been going for a little while now, and it will end eventually. But yeah, I mean, there are sales out there, so people who are already clamoring for a price drop, oh, even 5,000 yen price drop would be good. Well, there you can essentially already save yourself 5,000 yen out there, $50 in the U.S. If you know where to look, or if you kind of look around. Of course, those price drops and the things that are coming like that aren't really good things as far as Sony's ecosystem goes, because that means obviously that it's not really selling that well, that they have to go ahead and push these kind of things. But yeah, I mean, if system support picks up and people are buying more games, then more people will buy more systems, more people will buy more games. I mean, that's kind of the way the trend goes. So obviously Sony would like it to go that way. So we'll see what kind of resort they get to, what kind of things that they do in order to try and push the Vita sales. Again, I'm not quite sure, but we'll see. Yeah, moving on from there, Gravity Rush, of course the US, the Western name for Gravity Days, is getting a US and European demo, sorry, a North American and European demo, and that demo will be out on May 29th in the US, and I would assume for the North American store period, and it will be out on May 30th in Europe. I don't think we've heard yet if this is the exact demo that we got in Japan. I had another video up to show you how to log on to the Japanese store and download Japanese demos. You could also do it on the Hong Kong store, which Gravity Days had an English version on there. So maybe some of you have already done that. For those of you who have held out, don't want to do the account switching thing, yeah, at the end of May, you'll be able to play Gravity Rush. Pretty cool. And then the game comes out shortly after that in June. So that was a nice bit of news I saw on Twitter the other morning, just that they're getting more demos like that out in advance for games that are coming out. Again, particularly a game like Gravity Days, Gravity Rush, it's nice that you would get to play that. Moving on from that, in the beginning I talked about 3 free apps that Sony's putting out. These are apps, not games, because they are more like applications. The first one is called Paint Park, and it is actually already out right now as far as I know, in both US, North America, and Europe. I haven't heard anything about these for Japan though, which is kind of lame. But hey, enjoy it. Paint Park is just like it sounds. You can take pictures, you can do some paint things using the touch on there. I'm not sure how extensive it is. I haven't switched accounts just to try this out. I probably won't. I'm hoping that these will also come out to Japan pretty soon, as there isn't much of a localization necessary there. And I believe Sony's the one putting these out, so I don't really see why they wouldn't also come out in Asia. So we'll see what happens there. So yeah, Paint Park is up now. Check it out. It's a free app on your Vita. Also coming up are Treasure Park, which is a game where you make puzzles and then share them with your friends, and your friends have to try to complete them. So again, kind of networking puzzles with your friends. This could be pretty fun. And finally, Wake Up Club is the other one that's coming out. This is the one some of you might have heard about. When you set your alarm, it's an alarm, it's a clock app for your Vita, and when you set your alarm to a certain time and your friends have their alarm set to a certain time, there's some sort of network functionality there. We haven't heard exactly what it is. Obviously, privacy invasion, people getting into your Vita and setting your alarm to a much earlier time, it probably won't allow you to do something like that, but we'll see exactly what it means. For now, all I've read is that when people set their alarms to certain times, same as their friends, something will happen. Some kind of a network alarm app, but in the first place, it's a clock and alarm app for the Vita, which the Vita doesn't have yet. There's no alarm built in on there yet. So yeah, these 3 free apps, Paint Park out now, Treasure Park and Wake Up Club coming out soon. So take a look out for those other 2 and get Paint Park now. Moving on from that, I said I'd talk a little bit about Phantasy Star Online 2. Phantasy Star Online 2 is coming out for the PC this summer. It's coming out for the Vita early next year. And it also has a smartphone version announced that is very different from these 2 versions. So I won't talk much about that, and not many details are known about that at current time. However, the PC version and the Vita version, we've heard some updates about the game, so here we go. The game itself, Phantasy Star Online 2, again, coming out in summer on the PC. The PC character that you create will then be able to, of course, be played on your Vita. When the Vita version launches early next year, you'll be able to go out of your house and play it wherever you go. They did say, however, that the game, obviously, while Wi-Fi supported, will probably not offer full online 3G support. However, they're looking into doing something with the 3G, so we don't really know what that is yet. We'll see what they come up with. The other things that they announced, the software for the game itself will be free. Yes, you can download the game for free. This is on PC and on Vita, and even the smartphones too. You can download the game for free. They might, as they typically often do, release some kind of a packaged version with some kind of extra. So they might actually release a game card and a PC DVD with the software on there. We don't really know yet. They haven't announced anything there. They might have a packaged version that they then release. The other thing on top of that is that the game is free to play. Free online play. Now this gets half of you excited and half of you rolling your eyes. In the past, I've dealt with free-to-play games, and it's been mostly an eye-rolling endeavor. If you don't know what free-to-play means, it means that, yeah, there is no monthly fee. Wonderful. However, historically, free-to-play also means huge cash shops where only the people who are willing to spend a lot of money or, some sort of money every month in these cash shops will make stronger characters, will make better characters. And those kind of cash shop games historically have been shit. Those kind of cash shop games, they do well with a certain audience, but none of them have caught on really big. these cash shop games where paying essentially creates a more powerful character, because the people who are playing, who might buy something here and there, they get discouraged, right? They don't want to spend the money, and so they don't feel like they're making progress because they're not spending money. However, in recent year, maybe 2 years, cash shops, cash free-to-play online RPGs have come a long way, and developers have realized that, hey, we don't need to offer this, making your character super strong kind of BS by spending money. Our players will actually pay for alternate costumes, other things like that that don't affect the character's progress themselves, that don't affect, that doesn't create a gap between payers and non-payers. And they've realized, well, we can actually make money doing that. And then it gets more people playing who, would originally be discouraged by the high payers. These discouraged players keep playing, and then maybe they'll spend a little bit in the cash shop for a costume or something here and there. And developers are finding out, publishers are finding out that, hey, this is actually working pretty well. Phantasy Star Online 2 has been announced as such. In the newest edition of Famitsu Sakai, the guy behind Phantasy Star Online 2, has said that they will not include anything in the game, in the cash shop, that makes it so that your character will have some sort of, unbalanced God mode just because you bought something in the cash shop. They're not putting anything in there that's going to create an imbalance there. What they are putting in, that they've talked about a little bit, are clothes, items like that, gachapon, things from the figure shop. You're going to have a room in the game, so maybe things that you can put around your room. I don't know. For those of you out there who are going, who's going to spend money on this stuff? People actually do. People really do, and they've discovered this, and that's why this game probably itself went free to play. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what kind of things they do release in the cash shop here. But it is a free to download and free to play game, which I think is pretty exciting. It's pretty cool to see that. It will be interesting to see where that goes. And again, yeah, what ends up getting offered in the cash shop, but free to download and free to play, you're going to get a lot more people on board that way. So very cool, very exciting. The the closed beta, the newest closed beta for this, the PC version, actually starts tomorrow, and I've gotten in there, so I will be able to talk a little bit about this game in the future. Again, the PC version, which will be the same as the Vita version, as far as gameplay and things like that goes, because you can play them on both formats. Yeah, I'll be able to talk about it a little bit in the future, because yeah, I got into the PC beta starting tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. So essentially, yeah, the big info with PSO2 is that it's free to download, free to play. You can play back and forth between the Vita and the PC version. Very cool, very cool. They'll get a lot of people on board on that, so that sounds very exciting. Moving on, I talked a little bit about earlier, is Soul Sacrifice. In the newest issue of Famitsu, which again has not actually come out yet, we've heard about this from the leaks, there's apparently a 6-page spread for this game. It's called Soul Sacrifice, and all that it really shows is 4 characters fighting a big boss. So it sounds like Monster Hunter. You'll also notice Soul in the title. Interesting, because Sony actually owns the rights to Demon Souls. They own the rights to that part of the franchise, Demon Souls, not Dark Souls, but Demon Souls. So they own kind of, yeah, the rights to that. You see Soul in the name here, and it's sounding like it's definitely going to be a first-party title, although that's not confirmed yet. It's pretty easy to say it's a first-party title. So there's already been rumors leaked. Maybe this is from Software, who developed, in collaboration with Sony, Demon Souls, and they also went on to do Dark Souls. They could be behind this a little bit. They could be working with Sony on this. Might not have anything to do with From at all. We'll see coming up. But anyway, yeah, this is Soul Sacrifice. This game will be formally announced on May 10th. The announcement is coming at the Tokyo International Forum, which is something that they obviously hold in Tokyo. Again, May 10th, so it's not too far off. We'll get the full announcement, and at the announcement, we'll obviously get a lot more information on what this actually is. So look forward to May 10th on this. The keywords that they've released so far, 3 of them. Number 1, it's a story about magicians. It's set in a magical fantasy land, essentially. Magic users. It's a story about magic users. Number 2, they said evolved co-op battles. Something to get excited about. Again, the art with the 4 characters going against the big boss kind of states it there. And again, high-spec graphics for a realistic fantasy world. We all know, of course, the Vita is capable of high-spec graphics. Realistic fantasy world. If that doesn't sound like Demon Souls, I don't know what does. However, I'm not going to go on record and say that this will have something to actually do with those Soul titles. I'm just saying there's definitely a chance with Soul in the name, a realistic fantasy world. Yeah, obviously, having said that, evolved co-op battles and the 4-on-1 thing, that does not sound anything like Demon Souls. However, again, more speculation that maybe this will take the Souls combat style and develop it into a somewhat of a multiplayer title, or like a multiplayer title for the PlayStation Vita. Something to probably get excited about. Again, a 6-page spread just for the announcement of the game. Again, a 6-page spread to announce the announcement. When people are saying now that Sony's not putting any money into advertising at all, and you see a 6-page spread to announce the announcement, it's pretty big news. So this could be cool. This could be big. So look forward to that. Again, May 10th, Soul Sacrifice being announced. Very cool. All right, moving on to the next thing, Rhythm Summer. Are you a big fan of rhythm games? If you're not, go ahead and skip forward. I'm a big fan of rhythm games myself, and I'm happy to talk about 4 rhythm games that are coming out for the Vita, 3 of which are coming out this summer, and 1 of which is coming out this year that we don't know exactly when yet. But we've heard about all 4 of these rhythm games, either the announcements or the updates, very recently. So these are all kind of at the forefront of Vita titles at the moment. I guess I'll go with what could be the biggest one first, Hatsune Miku. Maybe about 10% of you are totally giddy when I say the name Hatsune Miku, and the other 90% are either like, what's that, or, oh, it's that weird Vocaloid girl thing. Hatsune Miku is huge in Japan, huge. It's the Vocaloid music. If you don't know what it is, get on YouTube or something. But these are rhythm games. This is the newest in the series of rhythm games that Sega publishes. Again, Hatsune Miku. The tentative title for this one is Next Hatsune Miku Project Diva. Obviously, that will not be the final title, although Next could work its way in there somewhere. We're not sure yet. But this is coming out for the Vita this summer, and then next year for the PS3, and it will be the exact same game. So if you have a Vita, or if you're interested in Hatsune Miku, obviously it's beneficial to just pick it up this summer. Hatsune Miku essentially uses the face buttons on the Vita pad itself, as well as integrates the directional buttons. You'll have these little icons floating around the screen, and when they match up with certain icons, you have to press the button at the right time. All the while, you get very pretty backgrounds of Vocaloids, Hatsune Miku and her friends, females and males, who you can also earn costumes and things like that for. Might sound lame to some of you out there, but the mechanics behind the music game here are actually awesome, and I think if you give this Vocaloid music a chance, you could actually be pretty interested in it. I originally saw it in the arcades, and I was kind of like apprehensive about it, I have a long time that I've been playing music games, but I gave it a shot. It's quite addictive. It's quite fun. There have also been games out on the PSP, a couple there, as well as an append version. And then there was also Project Mirai, which just came out on the 3DS, which kind of took the Vocaloids and made them kind of chibi versions, which is kind of a side spin-off thing. It's not really part of the main series here, but this Vita game is part of the main series. The games have done incredibly well in the arcades. They've done incredibly well on the PSP, so it will be interesting to see. This was pretty big news when it came out that the next Hatsune Miku Project Diva game was coming out for first the Vita and then, of course, the PS3 next year, but for the Vita this summer. They do have some screens out there. Go ahead and Google those if you're interested there. They look great. Looks very nice. So interested in this one, definitely. And if you're interested in music games at all, or if you love Hatsune Miku, I know some of you out there probably do, you'll probably be into this. Yeah, next up, let's go down the list here. Orgarhythm. Strange name there, one word, Orgarhythm. This is a music strategy game. It's being labeled as a music strategy game. If you've seen screenshots for this one, it looks like Pikmin. If you don't know what Pikmin is, well, you should. Pikmin, anyway, no, but Orgarhythm is a Pikmin look-alike, but a rhythm game. So again, music strategy, rhythm strategy. This is coming from a guy who worked on Shenmue as well as Space Channel 2. If you know Space Channel 2, you'll know it was a rhythm game, an interesting rhythm game at that. So not much detail is out about this one other than, yeah, it looks like Pikmin. You play as like this giant dude maybe, and you have an army of things surrounding you, and it integrates rhythm in with strategy game. So that will also be coming out this summer alongside, not at the same time, but again alongside the next Hatsune Miku. So there are two of the titles. The third one that's definitely coming out this summer is DJ Max Technika Tune. And DJ Max Portable, DJ Max Technika, this is a series that's developed in Korea. It's very similar to Beat Mania, if you have played Beat Mania. However, it's a little bit different, and this kind of took off on the PSP. There were quite a few PSP DJ Max Portable titles, and they really have a nice following. So yeah, essentially this is very similar to Beat Mania, where you'll have keys dropping down, and you use up to 6 buttons at once to hit the keys when they hit the bottom. You have very addictive music, a lot of it now being K-pop, but yeah, very addictive music, many different kinds of music. They've really expanded there on what they use, and interesting backgrounds as you play. But yeah, the closest thing that I can say this is like is Beat Mania. If you've never played these games, again, get on YouTube. Very, very addictive. I've played all of the PSP games, and these games are awesome. When I first honestly started playing it, I was like, man, they ripped Beat Mania off bad. But no, it really has developed into its own thing, and it's very cool, and they just do it very, very right. So yeah, Technika is the new arcade version that's out there somewhere. I think it's big in Korea again, but this is now coming out for the PlayStation Vita. Very cool. I know a lot of people are very excited about this one, and I'm very excited about this one. And this is slated for summer release in Korea. Now, the thing you don't really have to worry about there is Korean game prices, I believe, are cheaper than Japanese game prices, and again, the Vita is region-free. So if you feel like importing this one, go ahead. They have also said for sure that this will come out in the US. However, they did say it would be a little bit later. That could also be this year, but it sounds like not summer. Haven't heard anything on the Japanese version here, but the DJ Max series does equally well in the US, Japan, and Korea. So I'm sure it will be out in all regions, probably by the end of the year. But again, summer in Korea, this is definitely one that if I haven't heard anything about the other regions by then, I will certainly import this. Sounds very good. I'm a big fan of DJ Max. So yeah, 3 huge rhythm games there. Those are all physical, of course, as well as download releases. And the final one, which I believe is only a download release, and this is just coming out at some point in this year, is called Sound Shapes. And Sound Shapes was originally slated to come out around the Vita release. However, it's been pushed back and back. I know they're putting a lot of work into it. Sound Shapes is technically a 2D platformer meets a rhythm game. So again, a bit of a genre mashup there, but it looks very, very cool. This is one that might not appeal to everyone. However, they've got some great music going there. They're collaborating with, I believe it's pronounced deadmau5, Dead MAU5. I'm sorry, I'm not into that scene. So if I butchered something there, I apologize for that. However, if you look at the trailer, you'll get to see what's been going on there with the gameplay and the collaboration. They just released some new gameplay footage on it. It looks very fun, but basically you're moving this ball through levels while the things that you're doing are affecting the rhythm of the game. So one of those surreal experiences that should definitely be played with headphones. Again, we don't have a final release date on this one. However, we do know that it should be out at least sometime this year. So look forward to that. So those are the 4 rhythm games. I'm calling it Rhythm Summer because definitely in the summer we'll have Orgarhythm, we'll have DJ Max Technika Tune, we'll have Hatsune Miku, and then at some point in the year we'll have Sound Shapes. Wow. If you're a rhythm game fan, look forward to those because that sounds awesome. Finally, in closing, I will talk about upcoming releases here in Japan. Of course, as I always do. This isn't everything. This is a list of games with exact or near exact dates. So I can give you those. Tomorrow, Lumines is finally coming out for the Vita. It's actually not come out in Japan yet, although it's been out in all the other regions for a couple months now. Lumines will hit Vita in Japan tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see how well that sells, but obviously we all already know it's a great title, so we'll see. And then next week we have Surge Concerto. Again, CL No Surge is the subtitle. This is coming from Gust, who works on the Atelier games. This is very different. This is an online game, or at least has an online component, but you're essentially raising this girl, and yeah, again, a lot has been shown on the game, but not too much is known exactly about how it works. We've heard some contrasting info, but essentially, when you buy the game, you get the first chapter, and from there you have to download the following chapters, but you're essentially raising this very anime, but very nicely artistically stylized girl, and you're raising her in this world. To be honest, from what I've seen, it's not something up my alley, but I know a few people out there are looking into importing it, so hopefully I'll have some impressions for you guys on this one. Following that, there's really not much coming in May that I'm sure of. Samurai and Dragons is finally getting a packaged version in May. Service just resumed today. It had actually been down. Samurai and Dragons, the online game from Sega, another free-to-play game with not even near the budget that Phantasy Star Online 2 has. But an online game, strategy meets dungeon crawler meets kind of raising a town, real-time strategy. Yeah, but service resumed today. It's a free-to-play game and also free to download. But they are actually releasing a packaged version which includes some incentives and some goodies coming next month. But yeah, we don't really include that as a new game. So anyway, you got those in April. Following that in June, looking like a pretty big month. On June 7th, we have Gundam Seed Battle Destiny, another series, a series of games that does pretty well here in Japan. Looking pretty good. June 14th, we have both Monkey Ball and Persona 4, which is one of the biggest titles that will be released for Vita up to that date, definitely. People have been looking forward to that one for quite a while. And after that, we have Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, the pack there, coming out on June 28th. It will be interesting to see how that one does, considering that they've been shoving these HD remakes, down our throats for a few months now. It's already out on Xbox. It's already out on PS3. Metal Gear Solid 3 is already out on 3DS. I don't know how well this one will do, but we'll have to see. Following that, in August, we have the update of Zero no Kiseki Evolution, which is the full voice version of Zero no Kiseki. Huge role-playing game, and they're making it full voiced, something like 157 voiced characters. Definitely looking forward to that one. Got my pre-order in for that one. So that's the list for now. Of course, we have E3 coming up. We've also got some other announcements coming up. Soul Sacrifice being announced in May. I would imagine that that will also be out sometime this year. Maybe around a holiday release, but we'll have to see. Hopefully Sony has some big, unveils up their sleeves. Hopefully we'll see some things at E3 because yeah, the Vita kind of needs its respirator. It really needs some help, especially here in Japan. So it will be interesting to see what Sony does to try to keep it rolling. Again, we talked about it earlier. There are a few things that they could do. But what will they do, and will it be enough? We'll have to see. So yeah, that's about it for video blog number 10 today. A bit of an information download. Look for video blog 11 to have a couple of reviews mixed in there. Hopefully with some new news, and hopefully I'll have it out before Soul Sacrifice is unveiled on May 10th. Because yeah, today is what? The 18th, so that's almost another month away. Hopefully I'll have another video blog up. Again, I do intend to get these out weekly. But recently been very busy, especially with the time that I have had. I'm trying to get some actual gaming done in that time. So yeah, but again, I really appreciate those of you out there who keep bugging me. When are we getting a new video blog? When are you doing more videos? I really have had a lot of fun doing this channel, and I really do intend to keep it going. And I do have some other things I want to show off to you guys. So as long as you guys stick around, take a look at your YouTube timelines. Hopefully you'll see more coming from me soon. But again, I appreciate all of you out there. Keep up the tweets. Keep up all of the postings. Keep bugging me to get new videos up because I really do enjoy it. And I'm glad that most of you guys seem to as well. And I'll get at you soon. Thanks a lot, guys. See you later.